Welcome to Ghost Carrier, our 15-part alternative history audio series about a world where America lost the Pacific War. This is the tale of a doomed aircraft carrier and its crew, stranded in the vast Pacific by a supernatural twist of fate. This story has been adapted from my book, Ghost Carrier. You can purchase the full version in paperback, Kindle, or audiobook from the links in this episode's description. I'm Robert Child, and episode 6 will begin in a moment.
You know, it's really a privilege to be involved with a documentary about the USS Franklin. And the Franklin was something that I'd always been fascinated by. And then producer Joe Small and producer-director Rob Childs come to me and say, look, how about if you use your dulcet tones to tell the Franklin story? So as I began to look through the story, and as Rob and Joe kept sending me more and more material, this thing was peeling like an onion. I was seeing more and more and more of a really, really important story in naval history, and one which hadn't been told. So they had to throw a 2-inch heaving line on me to keep me from charging right down here to the studio and helping to put this together.
Captain Dale Dye narrates USS Franklin, Honor Restored. Available now on Amazon Prime.
Ghost Carrier, They Died to Fight Another Day. Written by Robert Child. Narrated by Kirk Winkler. USS Liscum Bay, Central Pacific. In the hours following the torpedoing of the New Mexico, Joe searched frantically for his son's photo. He tore the cabin apart. Nothing. The only glimmer of hope was that all his buddies, the ones who remembered the ship sinking, had confirmed that yes, he was married and yes, he had an infant son. They confirmed he had shown them the boy's picture. But in the days that followed, Joe felt himself sinking into a deep, dark, angry depression. This was not his life. This was not his ship. This was not where he wanted to be. He was overtaken by increasingly frequent, uncontrollable fits of sobbing. His friends had drifted away. His resulting desperate loneliness on a ship with 600 men overwhelmed him and became increasingly unbearable. Without his past, with no memories of who he was supposed to be in this new world, and without Franny and his son from the old world, Joe felt he had no future. The immediate future, however, was the one thing Joe could control. He decided to take matters into his own hands. In the hospital ward on Deck 2, Joe Rusk, drenched with sweat and seawater, struggled furiously against his restraints. He screamed, "Let me die, Jesus! They should have let me die!" as the Navy doctor moved toward him with a long syringe filled with a heavy-duty sedative. Burly orderlies on both sides of the steel gurney held Joe down for the doctor to do his work. "There, that should put him out for a few hours," the doctor said. "Son of a—" Joe whimpered as he slipped into blackness. "Strangest thing, Doc," the assisting orderly Billy Garcia offered. "I saw him walking on the flight deck near the bow. Then he just took off running right off the end of the ship. Got to be at least 90 feet to the water. He kept pushing away the life preservers we threw over to him." The doctor nodded. "Finally, we dropped down a life raft and hauled him in. Crazy as it sounds, it just looked like he was trying to die." Later, Joe jolted awake from the waning sedation. He looked down at both arms that were held to his hospital bed by thick canvas straps. The straps weren't budging. A hulking 6'3" African-American sailor entered with a steel tray of food. Joe saw that it had no sharp objects on it. "I don't want it. Take it away." "You gotta eat. Gotta get your strength back." "I don't want my strength back." "What's that kind of talk?" They should have let me die." The hulking man smiled at Joe. "Well, ain't you dead already? Most of us round here is dead already." Joe snapped his eyes back to the man and his wide, toothy grin. Joe lifted his upper body closer to the man and asked in a whisper, "What do you mean?" "You know what I mean. We had 6 jumpers this week. You're the only guy they could save 'cause we had neared some island and dropped anchor." Joe felt a little ashamed of trying to end his life, but also ashamed of being unsuccessful in the attempt. He shook his head in disgust. "As I was saying, most of us is already dead." Joe nodded. "Me, I bought it topside. I ran up from the galley to help put out some of the deck fires. One of those wildcats blew apart. This propeller came spinning, sliced me right in two. Never even felt it." Then he grinned wider. Joe shook his head. "Well, you seem pretty darn happy about it." Then he recognized the man. "Hey, aren't you Theo Akins? You're the guy who took out all those Jap dive bombers at Pearl. I saw you on those recruiting posters." "Yes, sir. Got the Navy Cross, too. Now I'm a mess attendant on this here carrier." "A mess man? They need you back on a damn .50 caliber." Theo smiled, and Joe realized segregation was a barrier even during war. "You know, sir, you know why I'm happy? I figure I got a second chance. Maybe in this world they treat us coloreds a little better, you know?" Joe nodded sympathetically. "Well, Theo, I need to get back to that other world, my other life. I had a son. I was going to raise him, watch him grow up, teach him how to play ball." "I don't know how you're going to get back, but a lot of guys round here feeling the same as you." "How do you know that?" "We got like this secret club. Don't talk much about it to nobody outside, but we got a sign if we think you is one of us." "Sign? What sign?" Theo laughed and brought a finger to his massive neck and sliced across it, still grinning. Joe laughed. "If they give us the sign back, they's in the club." Joe laughed. "I guess that's right to the point." "Yes, sir. Yes, it do. Now, let me feed you some of this here soup. They won't let me take the straps off." Joe relented. "Hey, could you introduce me to some of the other guys?" "In the secret club? Hell, yeah, we got meetings of the Dead Man's Club every other Wednesday, but we don't call it that. Kinda unspoken. You get better, and you come join us." Frank's car. Frank was pensive. He stared out the passenger side window at the passing homes as Katie drove them back across town to their home. He turned to Katie. "Thanks for driving, hon." "Sure, Frank. Maria gave you a lot to think about." "I'm just sick to my stomach." Katie looked over again. "Are you going to follow her advice?" "I don't know. I don't know about all this mumbo-jumbo." "Maria did say she wanted to help, and your mom wants you to help, and obviously your dad needs your help." "Katie, don't you see, that's the thing. If Maria can somehow bring him back to this world, he'll be dead in a watery grave at the bottom of the ocean. What's the point?" "Now, Frank, I've been thinking about that." "Oh, boy, here we go," he said as he brought his hand to his temple. No, hear me out. Maria said there were infinite parallel realities or possibilities, and we're living in a reality based on our choices. You and I decided to get married, have a family, live in Dayton. Right. We don't know what the future holds. We hope we stay healthy, active. We know we're going to die someday. We just hope it isn't today or tomorrow or next week. We know it's going to happen, but we don't know how or when. What are you getting at? To Frank's surprise, Katie swung the car to the right and came to a screeching halt at the curb, nearly giving Frank whiplash. Jesus Christ, Katie, what the hell you doing? Making a point. You didn't expect that, did you? Expect it? No, I didn't, he said, rubbing the back of his neck. And if you knew I was going to do that, you would have tried to brace yourself or avoid it, right? Damn right. I knew I should have kept the keys. Frank, your dad never expected to die on that carrier in 1943. Of course not. How could he know? Exactly. How could he know? Frank's mind was starting to lock on Katie's unfolding logic. But he does know, Frank. In that other dimension, he's aware he had another life, that he had a son, and that he went down on that ship with 650 other men. Yeah? If Maria could bring your dad back in time to before the ship got hit, maybe he would know about the danger, know what was about to happen. And he would do everything he could to avoid it. Right. Frank's mind raced. Frank, imagine if she could do that. Your father would be alive. He would have watched you grow up. Can you imagine that? Frank didn't have to imagine it. It was the secret desire he had longed for his entire life.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Ghost Carrier, our 15-part alternative history series. Join us next time for another installment. This story has been adapted from my book, Ghost Carrier. You can purchase the full version in paperback, Kindle, or audiobook from the links in this episode's description. And if you like what you hear, leave a review or a rating, or just click the follow button. I'm Robert Child, and this has been Ghost Carrier, only on Point of the Spear.
Music licensed from audioblocks.com. Point of the Spear is produced by RSC Media Group.